this is the Evan Ginsburg Show at VillageConnectionRadio.com. Jim Savalio, engineer and owner at the helm. And we have an all-indie wrestling show today. Later in the show, the notorious Mr. Big, J. George, Tom Specialty Frazier from IWW, Timothy Theory. But right now we have the tag team of the War Devils, Dave Dahl and Dylan Mesh. And Dylan's making his first appearance on the show, I believe, right? Yeah. There you go.
Thank you.
And tell us a little about yourself before we talk about the tag team.
Well, I am an independent professional wrestler from the Philadelphia area, originally from the heart of Pennsylvania up in Schuylkill County.
And before you go any further, why is it that out of all the places in America, Philly has always been like the hotbed of pro wrestling? I used to go to the NWA in Philly every month, see the Four Horsemen, Midnight Express, Rock and Roll Express, the Russians, the Road Warriors. That promotion was so talent-laden that Jimmy Valiant and Billy Graham were like mid-card. Mm-hmm. That's how the talent level. I would go every month from New York to Philly, then ECW, and in between, Joe Goodhart had a promotion that was unbelievable.
TWA,
that's right. And why is it, out of all the places, it's Philly? I mean, boxing also.
If I had to guess, I mean, it's called the wrestling business for a reason. You know, business part, and with that being one of just the most important cities in not just America, in the world. It's like you got to go, you know, where the money is. So everybody has gravitated there. And again, like there's such a rich history there that there's a good foothold that was put there decades ago. So, you know, everybody keeps pouring in. That's where everybody wants to be. That's the hot spot now, and hopefully it stays that way for a while.
Interesting. It's also R&B. Huge R&B town, Philly. Yeah. Philly International Records back in the day. I'm too old. You guys don't know what I'm talking about. But Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes. All these guys came out of Philly. Anyway, so tell us about some career highlights, Dylan.
Well, I was trained by the Ring of Honor Dojo when it was still located in Bristol. They're now based in Maryland, where they kind of have their own little sort of combine, I guess.
Who was the trainer, Delirious?
Head trainer was Delirious, and then under him was Cheeseburger and Will Ferrara. So I was one of the last people that graduated from there before they moved everything to Baltimore. So that got me a lot of really neat opportunities. I've gotten to meet and talk to pretty much everyone on the Ring of Honor roster, from the Briscoe brothers to Jay Lethal, Matt Taven, Adam Cole before he left. Just world-class talent. I've gotten to rub shoulders with them.
I tell people that Jay Lethal has never had a bad match. I've never seen this guy have a bad match. He's as consistent as anybody.
I completely agree.
A lot of those Ring of Honor guys, Roderick Strong, I never saw have a bad match. You know, these guys really are top notch. You always see on social media, and jump in, Dave. I always see the top 20 heels, the top 20 faces, the top 20 tag teams. What about most consistent? There's guys like Homicide, Roderick Strong. These guys never have a bad match. Why is that?
Some people there are people who are good, and then there are people who are just great and they know what they are doing, and Lethal definitely falls in that category. I know everybody around in my little group who we all came in at the same time, we all look at him and watch very closely when we are, you know, trying to take notes and stuff like that, because he knows what every match needs. He knows what every show needs. It's incredible. It's incredible just to be around that.
They also know how to play off the crowd better than anybody. I mean, Jay
psychology.
Jay could do the comedy stuff, doing the Black Machismo, and then break out into the serious stuff. I've seen it. Like, he started off doing serious, and all of a sudden he's Machismo, and then he's back to serious. You know, when you can mix that and get the crowd going up and down, you know you got something. And Jay has that. Homicide has that. All those guys have that.
And today, GCW in Brooklyn's doing a tribute to Homicide, which is a big card.
Well deserved.
Yeah. Homicide's awesome. He came out of the Doghouse. Bobby Lombardi was the promoter, the late, great Bobby Lombardi. So we always try to acknowledge him. He's one of the unsung heroes of professional wrestling, Bobby Lombardi. The Doghouse weaned Homicide, Low Key, a lot of great guys.
Oh, yeah.
Monster Mac and all those guys.
Monster
out
Mac.
of the- out
Love
of the
Mac.
doghouse. Yeah. So, since we're talking about Ring of Honor, before we talk about your tag team, I find the fans, many of them, are front runners because for 15, 16, 17 years, whatever it's been, Ring of Honor has put on great wrestling. And all of a sudden, AEW. And I watched the 3 AEW, major shows, and I think, they're quite good. But what does that negate what Ring of Honor is doing? I mean, basically the fans they're like, Ring of Honor sucks, and I don't feel that's true.
They just want something different, and that's a little bit what AEW is doing. It's different. They're having different characters like Jungle Boy and
What my late mom
Luchasaurus.
used to say? Just because it's different doesn't make it good.
But
You know.
the wrestling fans go with that, and
Yeah.
they're cashing in on Cody's clout and the Young Bucks clout and all that.
I love the Young Bucks. A lot of old school guys don't.
They're good.
I think the Young Bucks are great, but I'm watching that 6-man tag yesterday, for example, and I'm going, why did they just haphazardly throw these 6 guys together? I couldn't quite even tell who's the face, who's the heel, because with Guevara, is that his name?
Guevara.
Yeah.
Guevara. I'm watching this guy. At the beginning, he's kind of the face. Then all of a sudden, he's the heel. It's like you can't even tell.
He did the same thing at Best of the Best when he did that back in April. He'd come out and he's getting the cheers because he's that pretty boy looking thing, and then he's turning around giving everybody the middle finger saying F you. So
That's part of his shtick.
I think it's his stick. Yeah, he comes out, he gets you to cheer for him because he's that pretty
Okay.
boy, and then he makes you realize, wow, he's just a freaking jerk.
But I'm just watching this match, as good as it was. Great spots, great moves. And I'm kind of like, why are these 6 guys just thrown haphazardly together? That's what WWE does. I mean, it wasn't like New Day 3 guys versus a legitimate 3. It's just like, let's throw 6 guys together for no reason.
Probably just trying to get them all screen time.
Yeah.
I mean, Sammy Guevara was on the first event, All In, and he was only on the pre-show match. So now he's on this show, and then,
But I'm just saying, if you're going to be different, really be different. Because that's lazy booking like WWE.
Yeah, they're going to have to figure that out as they go. I mean, there's a whole bunch of people who are at the top of that company now who don't have experience, making these decisions and calling these shots. So, 3 shows in, it's like any other business where you're going to, if you haven't done it before, you kind of have to do trial and error. So hopefully they realize exactly that. You got to really, there's going to have to be a lot of thought put into this stuff. They're going to be different, and they're going to have to learn.
I just hope they listen to some of the quote-unquote critics, because I think sometimes when wrestlers are very young, some of these guys are very young, they're like, that's, this guy's out of touch, he's old. Literally, in the middle of that 6-man match, the one guy gives Jim Cornette the finger. Did you see this?
I did not see it.
Yep.
Yeah. I didn't imagine that.
Joey Janela. Yeah.
Joey Janela gives Jim Cornette the finger in the middle of the match, and I'm kind of like, okay, well, I disagree with a lot of what Jim says, but Jim Cornette led the greatest tag team in history in the Midnight Express. Jim Cornette dedicated his life to the business. And what about just respecting your elders?
Well,
that rubbed me the wrong way.
Yeah.
Look what Sammy Callahan did to him. Sammy spit directly in his face while he was at commentary for MLW, and then got fired for it.
I like Sammy Callahan. I like Joey Janela, but they have not accomplished what Jim Cornette has accomplished in this business.
But there's still
a little humility is good too.
Yeah. But it goes into what people think is needed to really push your business forward nowadays, because it all goes back to what Cornette says on his podcast. And he's very critical of people like Janela and like Callahan at times. So what these guys decide that they need to do is then fire back on their wrestling show, which will then get more social media buzz, which will, I guess the theory is, bring eyes to their product. So it's a kind of a new mentality, I guess.
I'm Jim Cornette's age. I come from that same era. But I love Kenny Omega. I love the Young Bucks. I have no problem with Kenny Omega wrestling a doll, a little kid, whatever got him the attention, because the guy's great. The guy's great.
Yes, he is.
I don't have a problem with Joey Ryan doing his shtick. Jim Cornette But Jim Cornette, I understand where he's coming from. He's a purist. He's a purist. He devoted his life to this. He's been out there almost 50 years.
But he's also one of the same guys that will crap on that and then go ahead and crap on a basic wrestling match too. So like he doesn't seem to find common ground in some of his posts.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like I've seen some of his stuff on like Twitter and stuff. I really don't go on Twitter much, but like he'll crap on Sonny Kiss's outfit, which is what really got him heat with a lot of people, and that's why Sammy did what he did. And then he'll go and crap on people that are just doing a normal thing.
I had Sonny Kiss on my show years before he was famous. I think the guy's awesome.
Sonny's
totally
amazing.
charismatic. But, you know, Cornette is old school. And you know, it's not always coming from a bad place. He's just looking at the
way
world
he's wired.
differently. That's the way, exactly.
Yeah.
So, at some point, there also has to be, I'll give you an example. James Brown may have been the greatest entertainer to ever step foot on a stage. James Brown beat up his wife. It was in the movie. So at some point, you have to almost separate the artist from the person.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know,
It's a persona. It's not who they legit are all the time.
yeah, so I just think Jim Cornette's accomplishments are so huge in this business that sometimes you just have to give him a pass if you disagree. You know, instead of, a lot of it is also ageism. He's old, he's senile, he's out of touch. No, he's looking at it differently.
Yeah.
I mean, I watched that AEW Battle Royale, and that first pay-per-view. I wasn't impressed by that, but I thought Cody and Dustin was unbelievable. I thought the Young Bucks and the Lucha Brothers were unbelievable. Maybe Cornette wouldn't, but you know, so I'm wired differently.
Yeah.
But I just see sometimes it's disrespect towards the guy.
Well, I mean, but he could have also did research before he said those comments about Sonny and like, why are you doing this and why are you wearing that? Why is it all of a sudden this flamboyant character's coming out with no backstory? It was a pre-show battle royal. Like,
what about the guy with no legs? I kind of see where Cornette came from. I mean, that he found that disturbing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But a guy had
I could see that as inspirational that the guy's out there,
Yeah.
but he looked at it differently.
a guy had a dream, and he probably thought he couldn't do it because he lost his legs, and now he's still going out there and doing his dream. You can't crap a guy for that.
Oh no, I thought it was inspirational, but but again, he's wired differently.
Yeah.
You know,
To play devil's advocate, he's looking at it right now because they're going to be a television product. He's looking at it from a TV producer standpoint. And I actually, that's where listening to him is really useful as a professional wrestler, because he's looking at it as if somebody's flipping the channel and they come across this, what is it that they're going to see? And pretty much what he was looking at was a bunch of characters who aren't explained right now, and they're the first thing going on.
Yeah.
So I kind of get that, but at the same time, this was also a phenomenon where fans watching they were familiar with a lot of those people. And that's why
Okay.
they were
Because of
there.
social media and everything.
Now somebody like myself who did not watch one single AEW promo prior to that pay-per-view, I came into it kind of like Cornette. Who are these
Getting
guys?
terribly confused.
Why is this guy, dressed as a monster? Like,
But you would also go to your do your research too. I mean, not jump to conclusions. You might say, "Oh, Luchasaurus, that's kind of a cool. What's his backstory?" And then go look it up. Where he probably just was like,
I like Lucha Libre. I've been to Tijuana, to the Auditorio de Tijuana. So to me, the guy looked awesome.
Yeah.
So, but I understand, because when I first looked at that Battle Royale, I'm like, who are these guys? Why are they doing this? So, I'm in the middle. Let's put it that way. I'm trying to... There's an old expression, the truth is somewhere in the middle.
Yep.
And sometimes the wrestling fans, it's like a religious fervor. They're either for you or against you.
I mean, I wouldn't take it out on him if I saw him in the locker room or in the back. I'd shake his hand, be respectful. I mean, he's a vet, and that's what you do. So, like, some of the stuff that's happened, a little too much. I mean, Joey Janela giving him a finger isn't that big of a deal. I mean, it's a finger. It really doesn't mean what it means. Everybody just takes it that way. So, like, not that big of a deal.
But
now,
but I
getting
looked
spit
at
on
it,
is different.
I looked at it as I would go to the arena in Philly every month, and Midnight Express and Rock and Roll Express, Midnight Express and the Road Warriors, Midnight Express and the Russians, etc., so on. I mean, they had matches far better than what Joey Janela put out last night. I'm sorry, So
I can't say anything. I didn't see it.
You have to have some level of humility also, before you're spitting on somebody who's iconic. Iconic.
Yeah.
In this business, whether you like his politics or not. But anyway, this is about you. Tell us about the tag team.
Wow.
Yeah.
So the tag team, there's a promotion in South Jersey called Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators. And I started a program with a guy that's a huge baby face and me as a heel. And he basically, it was me versus him, uber baby face versus despised heel. And we brought Dylan into the mix because he had a match with one guy and everybody liked him. And he was a good character. And also we threw him with me to progress the storyline. And it's working. And we're trying to take it other places as well. We did the PPW Tag Team Battle Royal, Championship Battle Royal in June. And then in September, we have a tag title match at Dog, which is what's short for Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators. We'll be taking on the tag team of Patch and Vinny the Fixer, Old School Empire.
Okay.
So that's
tag team's coming back in 2019 because WWE pretty much killed them for a while.
Yeah,
they're trying.
I'd hope so.
Yeah, I mean it's fun. I like doing tag team stuff. I mean I love doing single stuff too, but doing tag team stuff is different because you can do different things. Mm-hmm. Like I can set something up and he can come off and do something, or he sit vice versa, and it's just you have to have that difference in matches. You can't just have singles match, mm-hmm. random tag match, singles match. You need if you can have multiple tag matches too. Everybody's going to be different. We're not high flyers by any means. I'm a little bit more technical. He's a little bit more violent. So it works well because I might go out there and shoot a double where he might come in and just kick your face off. So
there you go.
It works.
It's a whole new. It opens up more doors for creativity, and it just allows more a variety of stories to be told. So the more tag team wrestling really opens up in this modern age, I think it definitely benefits absolutely everyone.
So what do you think of the Young Bucks, who, like I said before, I think they're awesome, but some of the old school fans are like, oh, they're spot monkeys and it's not realistic and there's 37 super kicks. Well, what's your take on the Young Bucks?
I like the Young Bucks, but if I was booking a show, they would never be on the first half. If you put them on first half, they're going to kill half your show because
nobody's going to top that.
Yeah. They're going to hit 6 or 7 super kicks and they're all going to be no sold and it's going to be a sequence of them. And so if a guy in the first match or later in the card in their first match and they do 6 or 7 no sold super kicks and then your finish is a super kick, they just killed your finish. So their style of match needs to be later. Mm-hmm. Plus, I mean, they're so big. If you put them on the first match, half the crowd might leave too. But I personally like their stuff.
I like when they're in feud mode and they're more serious.
Yeah.
Because I think sometimes there's a line with them where they cross the line, it becomes a little cartoonish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But when they're serious,
but
with the Lucha Brothers, that was hot.
But that's good stuff.
Yeah. They're good with starting off goofy. And then as the match builds, they progressively get more serious and serious. Right. And that's what I like about their work. They come out goofy, dressed as Elvis and, Street Fighter people. And just they build to being that serious group. Right now, there's a lot of good tag teams out that not a lot of people are using. I mean, you have guys like Danny Moff and Sean Donovan who are sent to slaughter. They're amazing. Both of them are great talents by themselves, and together they're even better. And you have young guys like the main event, Midas Black and Jay Lyon, out of House of Glory school. They're great. You have the rep out of CZW. There's so many tag teams.
Who is some well-known tag teams that have influenced you?
I mean, as far as us together, see, part of the story that we're telling right now is we're a fairly young tag team that we're kind of brought together kind of out of necessity, sort of what the story needed. So, I mean, we're really trying to figure that stuff out right now, just sort of match by match as we go along. And even car rides over here like today, we get to talk about stuff that. So, I mean, I guess who would you say
I know watch? For me, I always loved watching WrestleMania 7, The Rockers versus Ming and
How
Barbarian.
great were the Rockers? Oh my God.
Amazing.
It was a great match because, like, I knew I was going to be smaller growing up. Like, my family's, we don't have that many tall people. So, like, watching the small guys sell for the big guys and the big guys sell in return and make it all believable in what they're doing was awesome. I mean, I always liked the Steiners,
Bruce
too.
Lee wasn't a big guy, and look what Bruce Lee accomplished.
Yeah. So, like, for me, like, the Steiners and the Rockers, like, I'm an amateur wrestler, so the Steiners appealed to me that way.
Steiners were great.
The Rockers appealed to me with the showmanship and the way they did things. So there are 2 tag teams I like to look at. And then, I mean, like, for us right now, it's really, like, we're trying to take out the old school. Because, like, Pat Shamrock's been around for a while. Patch and Bane the Fixer have been around for a while. We can take those guys out and open it up for a new breed or whatever. Right now, we're going into, with the whole Patch storyline, or not Patch storyline, Pat Shamrock storyline, I'm going into a whipping match. Because last show, he wrestled Pat, and if Pat won, he got 5 minutes alone and no DQ with me. Unfortunately, Dylan did lose. Thanks.
I got hit in the back with a knee brace.
You
Let's
did,
not
but
forget
still,
that
thank
part.
you. So I had to wrestle Pat, and I beat him up and whipped him with a belt leading into this whooping match now. Because apparently he liked getting whipped with a belt. It was really
He
weird.
did say that.
He did.
He said that out loud. He likes it. We'll see
so-
how
There
that
you
turns
go.
out.
September
21st.
No, October 22nd, I am facing Pat Shamrock in Irish whipping match, as we called it.
Wow.
So-
wow. That's old school.
That's not
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's not gonna be fun. I don't like
Yeah.
getting whipped with belts.
He
I'm
does,
not into
so,
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's when people get offended by the word fake when you're getting whipped by a real
When you
belt.
see the
Yeah.
welts
See the
on his
welts.
back after
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
done, I mean, it's not gonna be that fake. I mean,
The old school wrestlers hate the word fake. They're like, my hip replacement wasn't fake, my bad back wasn't fake, my 3 divorces weren't fake, and my kids talking to me, that's not fake either. So you're going to be whipped with a belt for 5 minutes.
oh, it's not even just we're not even gonna have the belts. It's like lumberjack.
yeah, I got you.
It's
Yeah,
gonna
yeah.
be. And I'm despised there, apparently. We're despised there,
Yeah.
apparently. So you're probably going to get whipped by on the outside.
Well, hopefully at the same show, I'm going to be going up against a young man named Adonis Valerio, who happened to be the one who hit me in the back with the knee brace.
I forgot
So if
about
he's
him.
good enough to pull the brace off of his knee and hit me with it, he should be good enough to wrestle in October. So that's still in the works. Hopefully I can get that penciled in and do something about that.
There you go.
Say.
Now, you mentioned a long car ride. I'm going to throw this out to you guys. I've known legendary tag team wrestlers who would tell me, after a while, I hated this freaking guy. You know, it's just like you're driving, you're eating, you're in the same hotel room, you know, and this has worn people out after a while.
Yeah.
So if you guys blew up and were really big, like the Young Bucks one day, and you're together constantly, is it going to work?
Well, eventually you lose things to talk about and things aren't new anymore. I mean, it's like,
There are people
well,
married
yeah.
50 years, they still talk to
how's
each
your
other.
kids and how's that? Oh, it's the same as the other day? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We see each other all the time. But I mean, luckily we also do things by ourselves that...
But if you're on the road
So-
together, let's say
that's
you
different.
guys make it to WWE one day,
Oh,
and
yeah.
you're on the road 200
All the
days a
time.
year. Are you gonna like wear each other out?
Yeah.
He's driving, I'm sleeping.
That's
I'm
the
saying that
challenge.
right now.
That's a challenge we're gonna have to face. But I mean, I follow people like Penn and Teller, who have been working together for 4 or 5 decades now, and they tell stories where they'll meet celebrities who want to go out with them after the show or something, and they'll say pick one.
Yeah,
Because they don't hang out together after the show.
Yeah.
So it's a matter of balancing that time where you got to be together and you got to work together and you got to make it work. Then you also have to put in that time where you can just be on your own, especially like I enjoy my solitude, so you got to just
you
work
go.
that in there. And it's actual work.
Yeah.
It's something. It's actual work. Okay?
I've had friends for decades who I could only take in small doses.
Exactly.
I mean, they're good people, but they wear you out.
I have family members I can only take in
Exactly.
small doses.
Yeah, that's just life. That's just
Exactly.
life.
Anyway, plug anything you want to plug. Any
we
social media, upcoming matches.
Let's see. What do we have? Oh, I'm out in Carlisle, Pennsylvania next week for a tournament for Superstar Wrestling. It's called New Revolutions 5. That should be fun. Winner gets a guaranteed shot at the championship there. Next weekend, too, there's still spots left at the CCW Academy for the Dean Malenko seminar. So if you're a wrestler and you do not take this opportunity to learn from Dean Malenko, you're dumb.
I'm glad you said that.
And I may get heat for saying that, but you're dumb.
Oh.
Plus, there will be a Dojo Wars Super Show following that show, and it is possible, not guaranteed, that Dean may stay. So you could possibly wrestling in front of him, and that would be smart. Very.
How do young wrestlers not show up when a legend does a seminar? Well, you could learn in those couple of hours.
I wish I knew.
Well, look what happened when I first met you. No one came and said hi to Greg. Remember? Like,
I could top that. I bring Greg Valentine to this indie show, and I won't name the guilty. And the ring announcer refused to even announce him.
yep, same show.
Yeah, same show. Yeah. So we're sitting at a gimmick table practically in the dark, and like 90% of the audience had no idea we're even there. The glamorous world of indie wrestling. So I actually said to the ring announcer, would you mind announcing that Greg Valentine's here? And he got like all nervous. I don't know. I don't know if it's okay. Like, dude, the guy's a legend, you know? So anyway.
Man. Some people don't like making money, I guess.
Respect. How about the fact that a legend is at your indie show and it would elevate the show?
Yeah.
Stan Hansen and J.J. Dillon were there also.
Yeah, they did a seminar before that, and guys like Sean Donovan, who's been in for years, did the seminar. Like,
it's good enough for him.
Yeah, like, if guys that have been around for 15, 20 years are still doing seminars, guys that have been around for 2 years should be doing seminars.
I tell people to this day, J.J. Dillon wrote the best book ever on pro wrestling. Wrestlers are like seagulls, and I'll tell you why. He starts as a fan. He becomes a referee. He becomes a top-notch wrestler in all the territories, main event guy. Then he becomes a manager, of course, with the Horsemen, and then he's a front office guy. Except for maybe promoting, I don't think he promoted. He's done everything in this business. Why wouldn't you sit for a few hours and pick this guy's brain?
So much
50 years in the business.
That's the same with Malenko. I mean, he's worked for ECW, WCW, WWE. Now he's going with AEW as a producer, scout, and coach. So, like, why wouldn't you want to be seen in front of him?
Because they'll go, I don't have $40 or $50 for the seminar.
Yo, where did it go?
He's charging.
Where'd that money go?
He's charging $75 for the seminar.
Yeah.
That is a steal for the information that he has.
That's a video game. People are always selectively poor. I don't have money to meet Dean Malenko. I have money for a video game. Come on.
I mean, the first day it was able to be purchased, I was like, done here. Like, I'm doing this because I'm not missing out on
Pick
something
these
like that.
guys' brains. And
Such
they're
a great
not around
opportunity.
forever.
Nope.
They're not around forever.
And this is the first time he's ever done anything like this. And possibly might be the last. With them having TV and everything, like, who knows what his schedule's going to be like.
Yeah. Anyway, I hopefully have a green room full of wrestlers out there, assuming they're not all late or whatever. So we must wrap this up. Any social media you want to plug?
Yeah, so on Twitter, that's mainly where I'm at. You can find me at Dylan Mesh, all one word.
There you go.
For me, Facebook, Daredevil Dave Dahl, Instagram, Dave_Dahl_19, and Twitter, DD_Dave_Dahl_19. I'm not as active on that, but Instagram and Facebook, I am super active. Also, shout out to my sponsors, My House Sports Gear. Thank you for giving me all the stuff and making me look awesome in the ring. And
how did you get a sponsor and 9,000 other indie wrestlers don't? How did that work?
So I got my tax money back, and I ordered singlets from them, and I happened to see that they sponsored like an independent MMA fighter, if you want to call it that.
That's
I guess.
what they
or
want
amateur.
to sponsor independent radio.
So like I just hit them up. I was like, hey, how do I get one of those? And they're like, well, send us all your stuff. So I sent them my resume, I sent them promotions, sent them videos. About 3 weeks later, I got an email from the CEO. He said, we would love to work with you. Awesome. Told him what I was thinking. He told me what he was thinking. And then 3 days later, I got an email back from the social media director or something like that. And they had put in an order for a custom gear bag, tracksuit, and fight shorts, all with my logos, their logos, my colors, all for free,
Awesome.
sponsorship. And all I have to do is plug them.
Awesome.
And then I was the spokesperson for their Father's Day Challenge thing, which was pretty cool.
There you go.
That video got like almost 10,000 views.
Just in
Awesome.
my eyes alone, you've elevated yourself over many wrestlers, attaining a sponsor. Mike Orlando has a sponsor. I forget who. But
I
it's
think
not easy.
I think that one changed. He might have a new one now.
I'm not sure.
And shout out to Mike. Hopefully he's recovering great from
Michael
surgery.
Lando's, he's gonna make it.
He's a
that
great
guy's
guy.
gonna make it. Big guy who could work.
Him and Allie are great people. I love those guys. They're awesome to talk to when I see them at PPW and stuff.
Yeah. I always get a sense of satisfaction when I have guys on the show. I did a show decades ago with Mick Foley, and I'm like, this guy's going to make it.
Mm-hmm.
He's got unbelievable charisma.
Mm-hmm.
So when I see like Sonny Kiss in AEW or whomever, and I'm like, yeah, I knew these guys when they were kids. Even Homicide and Low-Key, I knew them when they were kids. And boom, you know. So it's a strange business. You know, you could be. Mick Foley used to sleep in cars and make $50, and now he's a millionaire.
Yep.
Very strange business.
But the Christmas room, which I'm kind of jealous of, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I love Christmas. Christmas is...
Anyway, these are the War Devils continuing the art of tag team wrestling in 2019. I thought WWE had killed it off, but I'm glad they didn't.
Not yet.
Yeah,
We're
not all
keeping
the
it
way.
going.
They killed off heel managers pretty much.
Killed off all managers, basically.
We'll work on that next. One thing at a time.
There you go. Speaking of heel managers, later in the show, Mr. Big, and also we hope to see on the show Timothy Theory, Jay George, and Tom Specialty Frazier from IWW. We'll be back in just a bit, and Jim Savelli has some commercials and promos. We'll be back with more wrestling.
The wrestling fan, you know, they loved you or they hated you. You know, if the fan loved you, they couldn't do enough for you. You know, they want to buy your meal, they want to buy your drink. I think it was one of the main reasons that, you know, whenever I stepped into the ring, I wanted to give back. I wanted to satisfy their reason for coming out and watching me wrestle.
I tell you what, I treated fans with respect and they loved me back. Whether I was a heel or a babyface, it didn't matter.
I learned right from the get-go with my parents that it was to appreciate every single fan that you got, every one. You know, I think that's one of the reasons I've had longevity in wrestling, is that I always treated my fans with a lot of respect.
They wanted to kill me trying to get to my car, and they always knew I was in a Cadillac or something, and it was, you know, you were in fear for your life sometimes.
The New Jersey crowds were always great in the Boston Garden. It was dangerous at the Boston Garden.
The fans were believers in that era. They believed the doggone thing was real. And they were some of the fans were very violent.
I look back on it and I'm saying, well, you put up a lot of you know what. But you know something? That's what drove me to do it. Because the more those people hated me, more of this I made.
I was being punched and kicked, and I was having beer thrown on me. I was being hit by chairs.
How angry do you want to make your wrestling fans? How much do you want to butcher up your baby faces until they're all bleeding and they're being beaten by 8 or 10 guys? I mean, how far can you push an audience before they lose it and then you have the Alamo kind of thing?
Play with people's heads, you know. You gotta play with their minds, you gotta play with them. Psychology. Because that's how you manipulate people. And that's what I do. That's what I did for a living. I manipulated you when you were a kid. I know I did. Because you probably didn't like me, or you might have liked me because I was that way. And a lot of people did. A lot of people didn't. Thank you for the living I made at it, people. You were very good to me.
All right, it's the Evan Ginsburg Show at Village Connection Network. And we are joined by the distinguished Jay George. Long time, Jay. Uh-oh, yeah. Yeah.
Would you have been mad if I was asleep, if I fell asleep on your couch?
I've had that happen during interviews.
I was just going to ask.
Yeah, I've actually had
before?
that. Usually with bands, you know, because bands love like an 11 a.m. gig, you know.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah,
Yeah.
especially coming in on a Sunday. So, you know, the night before, who knows what they're doing, where they were. Yeah.
I could tell you band stories for hours, but the one that comes to mind is I'm interviewing this singer at the WBAI FM back in the day, and she's so high she couldn't remember one band member's name. It's her band. So I go, all right, let's go to the music, because I knew she could sing high, you know.
Right.
True story, yeah. So anyway, what's been doing? It's been a while.
It has been a while. What a crowd. What a crowd. Is this on? Are we good? Yeah, no, it's this actually, as I said, is my first time in the new studio. Jesus, must have been 2 years since I was last here?
Pretty much, yeah.
Now, do you remember the last time I was here, I told you to write a book. And do you remember what I told you to call it? What the title of the book?
No.
It was, I told you you should write a book called I Was There, because you were there for a lot of historical and grandiose moments in professional wrestling history, going to those Madison Square Garden shows, right?
I was there when Jimmy Snuka jumped off the cage in Morocco. I'll tell you the most memorable. I was there
When Koloff beat Bruno?
No, I was there when Dynamite Kid and Tiger Mask wrestled at the Garden, and we didn't know what hit us. It was so ahead of its time that, because WWF was like a super heavyweight territory,
of course,
and all of a sudden Dynamite Kid and Tiger Mask come out, and it was like a video game. It was like we never saw anything like this. This was pre-internet.
Yeah, of course.
It was stunning. It was stunning.
And it's kind of funny how that's evolved to kind of what wrestling's. It's become a lot more welcoming of that style, and it's become its own monster.
But people also have to understand that Dynamite Kid died broke and broken, so you have to also take care of your body.
Oh yeah, 100%. But with that being said, right, like you said, you saw all these greats, and you said Jimmy Snuka, right? You saw him, right?
I was there for Flair and Steamboat live.
Saw Hulk Hogan live.
Yeah,
Andre.
Of course.
So my thing is, when you eventually do get to writing this book, because I do think you should write this book, you can also say that I was there when I had Jay George on my show, a top international. That
was going to be the first chapter.
There you go. Should be.
That's
right.
right.
There you go. You started off.
Yeah. I just want to mention that a noted promoter, John Patrick Trotsky, said that Jay George is the greatest, and then he cursed, promo in the Indies. He said, "You're the greatest promo in the Indies."
And that's coming from high praise from.
I did John The Wrestler with John.
That's right. He did The Wrestler. He was known also as the Angry Wrestling Vet, and I was fortunate enough I am fortunate enough to be able to call him my mentor, and he's helped me out throughout the years, and he's one of those people early on that believed in me. And funny story, he gave me one of his robes, and it's become like a superhero cape for me, and I've been able to take that robe all over the world, to Germany and China, Holland, Canada, Mexico, and I'm happy to have continued that prestige.
And since you're mentioning all these places, tell us about some career highlights.
Well, yeah, so I this past year has been a very international excursions for me, because I've been able to train. I was training in Germany for 2 months, and then I spent another 2 months in China wrestling for this company called OWE, and which I just recently returned from, and that was.
And what was that experience like?
It was amazing. It was for the first time where I was able to really truly live and breathe and eat and experience my life as a full-time professional wrestler. I was training 5 times a week at this dojo. They took care of us. They put me in an apartment. We had sponsored dinners. And
so why'd you leave?
Yeah, right. Seriously.
Sounds great.
It was a great experience, and I mean, this was. I went in there to their top company in China, and it's not just a company that's making waves in China, introducing professional wrestling to this country, but they're also getting a lot of notoriety throughout the world and working with companies like AEW.
Yeah, I saw that guys on AEW, yeah.
And, fortunately, my time got cut a little bit short due to visa issues, because, those things are very tricky to deal with, especially with countries like China and stuff.
I'll tell you a great story. You'll appreciate this. My buddy Carlton J. Smith is an R&B singer out of Harlem.
Yeah.
He moved to Shanghai, China for 10 years to do R&B.
Yeah, it's a big.
Yeah.
Shanghai is a big international melting pot because there's a lot of different industries there that utilize people from all over the world. And when I would go downtown to the bars in that area, I would meet people from Russia, France. From people, you would think you go all over the world and then you run into someone from New York, So it was a very cool experience seeing just how much is going on over there, and it's a very booming ecosystem, and it's very cool to see that wrestling's a part of that, and they wanted to bring in international talent, Western talent there to show them, the American style of wrestling, I suppose.
Lanny Poffo always said, "I saw the world on other people's, dime."
Yeah.
I mean, so...
And that's the dream of being a professional wrestler.
It's great. Johnny Valiant told me he wrestled for oil sheiks 3 a.m. in the Mideast. I mean, wrestling is a strange business. You'll have like, some guy... hot dog and a handshake, and then somebody else is flying you out to China and putting you up for months.
Yeah, it happens that fast, and it's all about being able to be prepared to deal with that. Yeah, and not only that, you have to seize the opportunity, but you also have to be ready in case that thing leaves, because like that happened with me where my time there got cut short, and now I got to rework some things out, and I got to be ready to deal with that,
But
move on to the next thing.
I would market myself as an international star because it's true.
Yeah,
I mean
100%.
that elevates you above local yokel, guys. Obviously,
you have guys, and it's funny because I see it, especially when I came back. I came back and I see some of these promotions that I was at, and it's a lot of guys that haven't even left their backyards. And to me, I consider that just as the same level as backyard wrestling, because that's what it is at the end of the day. These guys, they don't want to take those steps to even go to another state, let alone go to.
Well, that's
the
what
other
I'm
side of the
saying.
country.
I mean, basically, they're weekend warriors, and they just make a few bucks on the side, and it's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
But what you've done takes guts to pick up and go live 5,000 miles away or whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a real rush doing so, and it's something I've always wanted to do, and it's one of the things about professional wrestling that always caught my eye was the idea of traveling the world on someone else's dime.
And what do you have coming up?
So the my first major show, we did a show this past weekend for Lyle C. Williams, who was a longtime photographer.
CZW,
Yeah, and unfortunately passed away.
Yeah, he was a friend of mine, yeah.
Yeah, he was a great guy, and I was able to do his memorial show. I did a battle royal, but it was nice to be able to. It was a good way to see everyone and remember an old friend, and pay tribute to him. But as far as what I have going on next, I will be at IWW on their next show. I know they were supposed to be here to promote, but since he couldn't make it, I'll let him have this little moment.
Do we know this for a fact? Because I haven't heard anything.
We don't know. Hey, who knows? He could show up.
Oh,
right?
okay.
July 28th, I will be in Richfield Park for Violence and Suffering Wrestling. They're having a show there.
That's catchy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Violence and Suffering Wrestling. Jim will be there.
You want to know what the Well, you want to know what the name of the show is?
Sure.
Am I allowed to curse?
Yeah, it's internet.
Well, the name of the show is called No Bitch Assness.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's catchy too.
There you go. They have.
So since you're cursing, I'm gonna curse. John Patrick Trotsky said that Jay George is the greatest fucking promo in the indies. That's what John Trotsky said.
Hey, and you know what? Like I said, coming from him, it's high praise, and I'm not gonna go sit here and debate that.
So I have a question. Do you know who you're wrestling on either of those shows?
I do not. Well, the Lyle show already happened. The IWW show, I have no idea what's going on. Truth be told, I don't even know if I'm gonna be here in a month or two, because I might pick up and go to another country. As far as
Because
Now that
I
I've
was going to
gotten
let you cut a promo, because I would trust you to do it.
Yeah, they haven't told me yet,
Oh,
but
okay.
that show is going to be rich people. They have a lot of great talent though. Guys like Homicide, Teddy Hart, Harry Smith. I mean, it's a big lineup, stacked lineup. Dan Moff is going to be there. It's
Teddy Hart is so tremendous. WWE should give him that one last run.
You think they should give him that one?
Absolutely,
that one last shot?
absolutely. The guy's great.
Yeah,
And charismatic.
100%. Yeah, he's the, as you used to say, he's the past, present, and future of professional wrestling.
Yeah, he's the real deal. And Homicide, we were just raving about in the last segment. The guy never has a bad match.
And I know they're tonight, as we speak.
Tribute to him.
They're doing a tribute show to him. Are you going to that?
I can't because my wife just got out of surgery. She just had a hip replacement.
Okay.
But Homicide knows I have nothing but respect for him. I've been seeing him since the Doghouse days.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
I've seen him since the beginning.
Yeah.
Him and Louis Ramos used to have Christmas tree death matches. It was they'd wrap up weapons and mutilate each other. It was crazy.
Hey, that's Homicide is one of those guys that I've watched since I even found out what indie wrestling was, and he is high on my list of guys that I would love to be in the ring with, and maybe July 28th I'll politic my way into getting a match with him. Who knows?
There you go.
That's why you got to stay tuned, because you just don't know what's going to happen.
I did an article recently, the most consistent wrestlers of all time, and I listed Homicide as one of the top 10. I never saw the guy have a bad match.
No, never. And he told me one time, he said he was coming back from a shoulder injury, and this always stuck with me for some reason. I asked him, he's like, yeah, I'm going to switch my style up. And I said, well, what's the new style going to be? He says, it's going to be like a mix of Bruiser Brody and Bret Hart. Which those two things could not be any further apart.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then
it worked.
I watched the match, and it was exactly what he said it was. A mix of Bruiser Brody and Bret Hart. And I was like, wow. And which is great, because I look at something like that, and it's like, yeah, that's something I would like to be able to incorporate, because I have this this pedigree of different styles I've learned throughout the year. I was in Germany. I learned a very technical European style. Everything is snug, tight. But then I go to China, and I train with Sima, who does a mixture. It's a Dragon Gate style, where it's a mix of Lucha Libre and Japanese strong style. And I'm learning all these different things, and I feel like that just makes me a lot more unpredictable, a lot more dangerous, a lot more viable as a competitor.
And let me just add that guys like Chris Benoit took a similar path as you have.
Yes.
They went all around the world, whether it was AAA or New Japan, whatever the case may be, combined all the styles, this hybrid style that worked no matter what.
Yeah.
So, again, instead of just wrestling the same 12 guys in your state, you've traveled the world to become a better wrestler.
Yeah, so I mean, I would find it rather like insulting to my integrity if I came back here and I started running in circles around the same people, doing the same things that I was doing before I left, because now I'm regressing, or even worse, I'm getting stagnant, which is death sentence, Yeah. And I'm not here to let myself wither away, which is why if I find myself doing that, then I'm just going to pick up and go somewhere else and elevate myself even more.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. And off the top of your head, what do you consider some of your greatest matches?
Man, it's funny because I don't think they've happened yet.
Okay, that's positive.
And that's another one of those things that it's the dragon I'm constantly chasing, is that match that I can really hang my head on and say that that piece of work I'm proud of, and that's something that I've refused to say that, oh yeah, it's already happened. Not yet, far from it. There's still, like I said, I haven't had a match with a guy like Homicide yet, and when that's happened, then maybe I could tell you, oh yeah, that was one of my greatest matches. But until then, it doesn't matter what you've done, right? It matters what you're about to do.
And who are some of the legends that influenced you? You mentioned Brody and Bret Hart. I saw Brody wrestle Abdullah back in the 80s, and they were rampaging through the crowd, covered in blood, and the fans were fleeing in terror like it was a Godzilla movie.
Oh my God.
So, speaking of, I was there. So who are some of the legends?
Oh man, that have inspired me throughout my life. Guys like Macho Man Randy Savage, Roddy Piper, Ric Flair. To me, he was the guy that kind of he was everything. I think a professional wrestler should be. He's a consummate professional wrestler. Even more modern guys like Chris Jericho has been a big influence because he did a lot of those things where he went to Europe and trained. He went to Mexico and trained. He went to Japan, and he was a star all over the world, and he was able to mix all of those styles and, always constantly reinvented himself, which is another thing that that's inspired me and has stayed with me to do, is to always reinvent yourself. So I would say those guys are definitely at the echelon of what I'd like to be as a professional wrestler.
I've been attending wrestling for 45 years.
Yeah.
45 years. I'm 107 years old. And to this day, I say, seeing Roddy Piper, heel Roddy Piper, mid-'80s, Madison Square Garden, the best way I could describe it is he'd come into the building, he would just wreak havoc for about 10 minutes, and then you could breathe again. Like Piper and Snuka, whoever it was. Piper with Orton in tag team matches. Bob Orton Jr. I mean, it was unbelievable. Unbelievable, the charisma this guy had. It's, you could be the best wrestler in the world, but you don't always have that perfect package of gimmick, charisma, and skill. Piper had it all.
Yeah.
Piper was just off the charts. To this day, I'll see a video of that guy, and I'm just like, I can't believe he's dead, because he has so much charisma. You just can't wrap your head aroad the fact that he's gone.
You can't bottle that. It truly is lightning in a bottle, and the way it just came out there, and it just exploded out there, and people watch it, and they would just say, "What did I just watch? What did I just see?" And you have to go back and you have to watch it again, and that's something to me that's he was a once in a lifetime talent. And
top 5 talkers of all time.
Yeah.
I mean, who could talk better than Piper? Maybe Billy Graham. I mean, very few. Dusty Rhodes, very few.
To this day, I still hear people that aren't even wrestling fans talk about Dusty Rhodes' hard time promo, because that was something that the people really could get behind. He was a true people's champion. Long before The Rock, man, Dusty Rhodes is the original people's champion.
I used to see Dusty Rhodes and Billy Graham headline the Garden, and the building would shake.
Yeah.
Just from the charisma. The building would shake. It was... it's funny you mentioned write a book, because I am writing a book in the fall.
Is it going to be called I Was There? Is it about your all the people?
It's going to be called Wrestlers, Rappers, and Porn Queens: My Surreal Journey Through the Underbelly of Show Business. Underbelly of Show Business.
There you go. Hey, and when it comes out, I'd love to read a copy. Maybe I'll even write the forward for you.
There you go. No, I'm serious. I'm doing this in the fall.
Okay. Cool.
I have some unbelievable stories and memories, and even doing The Wrestler, there was some great memories. At the rap party, WRAP, at the rap party, Aronofsky does a little speech, and he goes, quote, "I don't know what we have, but we fucking have something." and then the movie blew up. I mean, so just a lot of memories over decades in various, situations. I was telling somebody a story the other day. We were doing an autograph signing in L.A. Chic, Nikolai, Lanny Poffo, bunch of legends. Woman gets on the van. We're going back to the airport, and she has a suitcase and everything. She goes, "You're Nikolai Volkov." And he was very friendly, warm guy. And he goes, yes, nice to meet you. And this is my partner, the Sheik. And the Sheik looked exhausted, and she goes, "You're not the Sheik." And he ripped into her, boy, in a public van. It was, Anyway, that's the 30-second version. When I write it, it'll be more entertaining. But anyway, this is about you. So you have these gigs coming up, and so if somebody said to you, like my friend Carlton, the R&B singer, we want you to live in China for the next decade, would you do it?
So the thing with China is, and it's obviously one of the reasons I was brought over there was because it was still very much, they were doing things at a very much for an introductory level for the audience, to the point where a lot of these people have never seen wrestling before. So they would have to go out there and kind of show them, like they would have the two students go out there and show them the pinning position, say this is a pinfall, put them in a submission, say this is a submission, and they would have to explain these scenarios. Some of the places I would wrestle in, they would have music playing in the background of your match, and because they were so afraid of the crowd not making noise.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Which was not an issue.
Culture shock.
Well, yeah, which is not an issue for me. I can always get the crowd to make
Right.
noise, but it was just very weird to have that. They would have that sort of thing there because they didn't know how to wrap their head around it and have the proper guidance of showing the students how to get a crowd reaction. You know. So that being said, would I go live in China for 10 years? Probably not, just because it's not a real wrestling hub yet. So,
But it could grow into it. The population's huge.
Of course. Now, would I go spend 10 years in Japan? Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
Because that's a major life decision to pick up and leave friends, family.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Well.
For your passion, for your muse.
Right, and luckily I got myself in a position where I don't have too many attachments to these things back at home, and I'm able to do that, and just up and leave when I can.
Yeah, Carlton, the R&B singer, he felt it was one of the great experiences of his life, and subsequently he's worked literally around the world. You took a very similar path. Left New York, went overseas to follow your muse, and not everybody has the balls to do that.
Yeah, it's
safer to keep that 9 to 5.
And that's where, one of the things I feel like it's maybe starting to go away in wrestling is that idea of the safety net. It just grows larger and larger, and that's why a lot of guys are afraid to leave, and they don't want to go out there and experience something that's so different and shattering to their dimension, because it's safe to just be here and it's safe to just stay and do the same things. And I don't subscribe to that at all. I want to be able to get up, go. I was stranded in Hong Kong for like a couple of days, but I was ready to deal with it, and I wasn't panicking about it.
Well, when you say stranded, why stranded?
So I had a little visa snafu.
Oh, I got
That's
you.
one of the reasons I left early. They sent me out on a visa run so I can go renew my visa and get a new stamp on my passport. So they sent me out to Hong Kong because it's a whole different system there. It's not part of China, so I can go in back in. So I'm at the airport, and with the way they booked the flight, I was only there for a day, so I brought a backpack, maybe an extra shirt, my phone charger. I pretty much just stayed at the airport the whole day.
Wow.
It was a beautiful airport. It was like a mall, so it wasn't too bad. So I just hung out, get ready, go through the gate for my flight. They call my boarding number. About to go through about to go on the plane. The lady stops me. She says, "You can't go."
Wow.
I said, "Why not?" She says, "Well, your passport, you're not allowed another entry into China." And I was like, "All right, well, all my stuff is back in Shanghai. I have to go back."
Yeah.
She's like, "Yeah, you can't go back." And I'm like, I almost have no money on me at this point because I, again, left all my stuff back in Shanghai. And she was like, "Yeah, you unless the only way you can go back is if you book a flight back to the U.S. from Shanghai. So only way you're going to be able to go back in the country."
Wow.
So I had to scrounge up whatever money I had. Luckily, I was able to book a hotel online and pay for it that way because I didn't have enough to exchange. I had enough money just to get a taxi cab there. And yeah, but again, I was excited, to do that. I was excited to take in that journey because, why not?
There you go. The Adventures of J. George. Plug any social media, anything you want to plug.
I'm at Twitter and Instagram at JGeorge49. That's JGEORG49, and I'm on Facebook under J. George.
And are you able to stay with us for the next segment?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, awesome. So we're going to bring some more wrestlers into the room in just a few, and Jim's going to play some promos.
Say, you're Bobby Rivers, right? Bobby barely registers and nods while he looks around for women. I love how you beat Willie Dean tonight. I hate that guy. I can't. Bobby looks at the bar and sees Willie Dean talking to two girls. Hey, Chris, kayfabe. He looks at the fan. Sorry, man, we stay here. There's going to be a fight. You know what I mean? Let's go, Chris. Chris asks, why didn't we stay? There wasn't going to be any fight. Listen, brother, Bert Ironside's rule number 1. Baby faces and heels do not socialize. Why? It's all about protecting the business. You don't tell your 5-year-old that there's no Santa Claus, and faces and heels do not sit in a bar full of marks drinking together. Kings of the Ring is the first audio drama podcast based on wrestling. Search Kings of the Ring from any podcast app or kingsotr.com.
Me, I'm not the mouth of the South. I don't need this. Because me, I'm not the mouth of the South. I'm the big mouth from Brooklyn South. And I don't need no megaphone. Don't need it, don't want it, don't have to have it. All I gotta have is one thing. Jim, the Anvil, Neidhart. He's here tonight. He's with me. You know why? Because I'm Mr. Big. I'm the manager of champions and the champion of managers. And tonight, me and Jimbo, we're gonna wreak havoc on USA Pro Wrestling UXW. We are gonna tear up Orlando. The recreation center, which used to be something to do, some holding center for criminals, we're gonna turn it back into a holding center. We're gonna turn it back into a holding center for all the dead bodies we're gonna leave laying. But I'll get back to that in a minute. Leave me and go off to the big time and leave me here in Orlando, Florida? In the middle of a correction center that's now a recreation center? Tonight, I'm going to take it out on everybody. I'm going to take it out on the fans. I'm going to take it out on the promoter. I'm going to take it out on everybody. Matter of fact, I might even take it out on you, cameraman. So you better understand it. You understand me? Nah, that's right. You understand me. I'm done here. Get ready for a big show tonight. It's a Mr. Big show tonight. I'm Mr. Big. I'm the manager of champions. And I'm the champion of managers. Good night. Yeah. I don't need this. I know.
Why not? These can be very useful.
No, I know, but you know what? You're with Mr. Big now. Because, you know why I don't need this? Because I'm not the mouth of the South. I'm the big mouth from Brooklyn South. But I'm not the mouth of the South. All due respect to him, you know what I mean? But you know what? You're a good buddy. I want you to feel comfortable. We're here in Florida now. I hate it here in Orlando, Florida. I don't like it, but
it's a nice place. It has its rewards.
Well, you know what? We're going to have some tonight. Because I'm going to put this down. But I'm going to keep it with us. You know, just for old home week, you know what I mean? To home time's sake, feel comfortable. I want you to feel comfortable.
Yeah.
But you know what? There's a guy who is not going to be smiling tonight. You know, your opponent tonight. Norman Smiley.
not Norman Smiley. You know, I can remember a Norman Smiley, something that he did to me very negatively about 2 or 3 years ago, which I haven't forgotten. And,
I remember that. That was
yes, it was.
I saw it. I didn't like it either.
And I promise you that the money you paid me for this bout will be going to good use. And there'll be a big, big smile on Norman's face. But it won't be going like this. It'll be going like this.
We're all professionals here. Let's try to act like professionals, you know? Norman, I'm going to talk to you directly. Because you'll be watching this DVD eventually. Norman, we're professionals. Jim is a professional, I'm a professional, and so are you. I give you that respect. So from one professional and another professional to you, Norman, as a professional, I want to apologize to you now.
Yeah.
We've got Maniac doing ring introduction for himself. This is exciting.
All right, the art of the promo, Mr. Big, and we were talking about promos before with Jay George and Mr. Big. Your first time on the show.
Yes, sir. Yeah. It's good to see you, sir. And good. Hope everything's doing well with 350 days.
In fact, it is. We were number 18 this week on Amazon. And 18's a lucky number in Hebrew. You know that, right?
Yes, I know. Well,
yeah.
I know that. I got a Mug and David on my in the middle of my eighth note on my arm. So
there you go.
There
you go. So
Beatles who?
yeah. We've been beating the Ron Howard Beatles documentary on the Amazon charts, which I can't wrap my head around that. But wrestling's hot. Have you seen 350 Days?
I have not seen that, no. Am I don't even know. Is this a wide cam? I just want to make sure I'm in the shot.
Oh, you're in the shot. You want to sit closer to me?
You're on that camera, Jay George. that camera.
You're good. All right.
There you go.
They see your handsome personage.
So, I appreciate the plug. Thank you.
Listen, it's a great movie. I don't think anything you've touched so far has pretty much turned to, if not gold, certainly a very precious metal, you know.
Bret Hart, superstar Billy Graham, Greg Valentine, Tito Santana, Wendy Richter, and 3 dozen others. So we worked 6 years on this.
Wow.
Yeah.
Culmination. So why is it was it called 350 Days?
Because in the mid 80s, when WWE peaked, guys were wrestling 350 days.
Okay.
A year.
Yes.
Greg Valentine said to me that he would estimate he was doing about 320.
Yeah, hey, that's the life, man.
Guys got guarantees, you know, getting a certain amount of money.
Flair was doing 350. Flair was doing 350. Yeah.
Easily.
Guys were making tremendous money, but they had to
yes
be on
and
call.
no. Yes and no.
I'm saying, but they had to be on call,
Yeah.
and that tremendous money was not. They had to take out their own. Everybody was 1099, so they were all taking out their own expenses.
Nikolai Volkov told me in the peak years, mid 80s, when he was with the Sheik and wrestling Hogan, he was doing about $400,000, which is a lot of money mid 80s. But when you're headlining arenas 300 plus days a year, you know, break it down, it's not as much as it sounds like.
They're not paying you travel for the
and your travel expenses, and taxes,
and food, and living expenses,
hotels,
coming all that out of that. They did pay, I guess, plane fare to, let's say, a certain location. If it's really far away, that was not part of the deal, you know, the money deal. But no matter what, the guys weren't getting rich off it. It seemed like they should. But then even the ones who were able to save money one way or another still didn't put away the extra.
I recently did a TV interview with Tito Santana.
I'm going with it.
And Tito was asked, do you feel you were paid what you were worth? And he straight out said no. No. I mean, you're headlining arenas every night. I don't know if you guys remember, but, you know, Hogan, when he didn't come to the Garden, Tito and Valentine would headline the Garden.
Yeah,
the Intercontinental Belt was huge back then. Now it's kind of a joke. Back then it was huge.
That was just a day's work.
Yeah.
Didn't matter whether it was a medal. I got a picture of me getting off the bus with Butch Reed and Ric Flair. My friend Mark was sitting next to Rick, and I was sitting next to Butch Reed.
The Natural and the Nature Boy.
It just was, you know, people don't understand what's behind the scene, you know, when it comes to money. You know, when it comes to, and that was an NWA show.
And beyond that, Butch Reed in 2019 has very bad arthritis and is in pain. And the toll that wrestling that many days, taking thousands of bumps, you know, that's no joke either.
It'll take it out of you.
Yeah, he's not a kid anymore, and to take off his jacket is an effort, you know, so there's a toll, you know.
Yeah,
and the fans were very demanding in the day. They demanded action. If you didn't give it to them, they weren't buying it.
Do you think that it's more demanding now from a physical standpoint?
You know what? The young guy is making it so. He's making, you know when you do more than you have to do?
Right, absolutely.
you're making your job harder. I mean, I'm not telling the guy not to fly off the top rope. There are some great luchadors. My boy Smiley, the Psycho Luchador, this kid could fly, but he does other intricate stuff that's between the, he's not doing what I think is high risk. Fancy schmancy, but not high risk. There's a difference. You can make your point. It doesn't always have to be coming off a 17-foot, partition of, between the building and jumping off into the ring.
I would recommend young wrestlers not risk life and limb in front of 37 people on a meaningless indie show.
Yeah, definitely not.
I mean,
not the way to go.
Yeah.
You have to, I'm talking directly to the camera now. You have to, young men. You have to determine your crowd.
Yes.
Look outside before your match. Sneak a peek. If there's 12 people, 30 people, 50 people, I'm not denigrating the show. It is what it is. But if you have a small amount of people, go back and say, all this shit you talked about with the other guy, about all that things you were going to do in the match, don't do half of them. You just now edit your match, because that's the crowd you got. You got 500, 600 people, go to town. All right, you got a certain amount of time, right? You go to town.
You have Dean Malenko sitting in the audience, like Dave Dahl was saying, go to town.
Hey,
Right. But I mean, you do it when it makes sense. And, truthfully, you could get as much sometimes out of a headlock, okay, and a poke in the eye after the headlock.
Johnny Valiant used to say less is more.
I mean, we've always said it's such a, that's such a hackneyed expression. Less is more.
But it's true.
But they don't understand what it means.
If you're doing 37 high spots and risking injury, in front of a meaningless show.
People think Ring of Honor is selling tickets because they do the trade-off, what you're talking about, the 50 high spots. They're not high spots, but they're doing acrobatics, they're doing gymnastics, going up and across the ring, trading off, until finally, ta-da, and they're faced off. Oh.
What do you think, Jay George?
I mean, here's what I think.
That's not for
I
me.
have no idea what you're talking about. Editing your match or anything like this. And I'll tell you right now, it doesn't matter if I go to a show and there's 12 people or there's 500 people or there's 5,000 people. If someone is in the ring with me, right, it's a liability for them, and I'm not going to take it easy on them. I'm going to hit them as hard as humanly possible. And my intent is to hurt them. So no matter, and listen, I don't do no flying stuff. I'm not much of a high flyer. I'll tell you that right now. I'll keep it honest with you. I'm not a high flyer, but if they get in the ring with me, they are taking a very, very high risk, because I'm in there with the intent to hurt. And that's just me. That's just where I.
And you're good at what you do, by the way. I know you're good at what you do.
I know you've had your eye on it.
Well,
he asked.
What am I going to shake a hand with? I'm going to shake the hand with somebody I don't like or respect. To get that straight right now.
Yeah.
See, I'm as real as it gets. I started in this business because guys dragged me in.
Right.
I was almost like that Al Pacino, right? They dragged me in. They did. And guys like Van Damme saying, "Well, when? What's going to happen?" All right. So I did. All right. I'm a legit tough guy. Okay. And you're right. What I was saying is, I don't like the trade-off acrobatics that I see in the companies, because they want to display their stuff, but they're selling it, so I can't, how do I say, don't do that? AEW does the same thing as Ring of Honor. Not all matches, some of them are pretty damn good, but but they have their little, like their mini Taz, this Jeff Cobb from Hawaii. He's in Ring of Honor. He's like the mini Taz. But there's some good guys in their companies. Yeah. But the corny shit, my opinion, gotta go. It goes, they're going to go the way of ECW, which is meaning they're going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. That's my opinion.
Hey, no, listen, I do agree, but I think it's part of the evolutionary cycle of it, and I think people you always find it once people get to that certain point, they either get it or they don't, and then if they don't get it, and they start
They're never going to get it.
Yeah, it's going to be too late for them.
Right.
Like you said, look what happened with Dynamite Kid. Yeah. And it's funny too, because what took Dynamite Kid out, right? Like the bump that ended his career, essentially. You know what it was?
What was it specifically?
It was like a simple back bump he took. That's it.
That was the straw that broke. the Dynamite Kid's back.
Yep.
You know, not literally, but figuratively.
I'll tell you a story about Dynamite Kid. He had that injury, so they brought him to the TV tapings to lose the belt, and they practically had to carry him in the ring.
Yep.
And the payoff was $50. He ended up in a wheelchair the rest of his life
There's
after
a case
the
of a
fact.
guy that gave his all
And didn't end well.
Didn't end well. Just didn't end well. But then again, along the way, if you read the books, which I did, that's the only books I have left. Everything was I lost everything a long time ago.
I'll give you some wrestling
my
books.
my biographies, the wrestling biographies. If you got them, I want them. The autobiographies.
Yeah, I'll give you some. Yeah.
Absolutely, because they're great reading. Whoever wrote it, pretty much, it's great reading for the most part. You know, you find out interesting things about their life that you say, what? Dynamite Kid was not a nice guy all the time. He was a prankster that, but then again,
Yeah, he had mean ribs, like he'd take a shit in your bag.
he
and
got
stuff.
back.
Yeah.
He got
Yeah.
back as good as he gave. Don't get me wrong. Because the boys weren't like to take that shit, let him stay in the club, and not get him back.
Well,
so that's the thing. Things
One of the
went
Rougeaus really gave him a beating, if I remember correctly.
I'll tell you. So part of my experience, I was telling him this past year I've done a lot of traveling. I was living in Germany, living in China, and having those experiences of living in another country and being away from everything, I've started to realize I totally get why these guys would rib each other as much as they did, because you had to
But there is a line,
Yeah,
so
there's a line.
I'm not gonna shit in your bag.
Oh,
you know.
But I would do so when I was staying in the
some
apartment.
gross stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, some pretty gross. I mean, because they were taking it past the limit. You got to realize something.
Yeah.
Kidding around, yeah, it's like camp. It's like summer camp. You put talcum powder in the guy's pillowcase when he lays his head down. Poof, it's all over the place. But I mean, you're not
Once you
going to
get
do stuff that's
bodily,
going to really be grossed out,
Yeah.
or maybe get you hurt. You know what I mean? Like getting some guy thinking his wife is with the other guy. That could be very dangerous.
You know the famous Piper story? The first time he came to the Garden when he was really young, they stuffed his bagpipes full of stuff so he couldn't play it.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I think that was Blassie.
Right, and you can't sell it. That's the thing. So I never would do stuff using my bodily excrements or cutting.
Thank God.
That's good because I have food out in the green room. Yeah.
But
there's a limit to what you do.
When I was staying in the apartments in Germany, I would take I had these we had these boxes of condoms, and I would put them on my friend's pillow. On his pillowcase. I wouldn't open it, just the actual wrapper. So it was just a simple thing. I would put it there. Then next day would be under his blanket, and he kept selling it. So I would just keep putting it in more and more places. I would put it in his bag, and then he would open up his bag, and then I would put it he had a book. I'd put it in the middle of his book, and then on the last day that he left, I came back to the apartment, and there was condoms all over my bed.
Yeah.
In my shoes.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? I'm proud of him because
It's a fun. That's
he got
fun.
me back.
That's cute.
That's funny until the guy's girlfriend shows up and sees the condoms on the bed.
But that you can explain that away. That's explainable. Not excrement in the shoes or the bag or that you can't.
They would nail their boots to the floor. Crazy stuff. Yeah.
They would. I heard one they would do. Mr. Perfect would take a master lock and put it through loops of the pants, and then they would loop it all together and put the master lock, so you'd have to break it to get it out.
Wow.
Yeah, mess up your pants.
Wow. So, what do you have coming up?
All right, September 7th, USA Pro Wrestling will be in Deer Park.
Frank Goodman's coming back?
Yeah, shush still. 4:35. I'm plugging something. I don't need your help for this one.
I don't think Frank Goodman needs the plug.
No,
He's going to get 1,000 people
He
in
needs
there.
the plug, and I need the plug. So USA Pro Wrestling is having their 27th anniversary show at the NYWC Sportatorium. You know where that is? 435, 13, 15, whatever.
like
It's
you don't know where it is.
435.
Yeah, you don't know where it is.
Brook Avenue.
Somewhere. You can
Okay, it's in
look it
Deer
online.
Park, Long Island, which is in New York.
The elegant
Let me tell you
NYWC
something.
Sportatorium.
The card starting with Big Papa Pump and traversing to Chuckles the Clown and Shane, the franchise, Shane Douglas, and others of that ilk.
He's a
I'm
big
bringing,
fan
as
of
I said, a big plug. I'm bringing Smiley.
Ilk has a
Okay.
negative connotation.
No, this is in a good way.
Okay, good,
It's
good.
wrestling.
Okay.
Smiley's going to get a chance to meet Chuckles the Clown and learn a few hardcore things because Chuckles wields that freaking Excalibur, that kendo stick.
That might be the best wrestling name ever. Chuckles the Clown.
He's pretty damn well. Smiley the Psycho Luchador is pretty good,
Yeah.
and this kid could work. Let me tell you, look at some of the film.
I've
look
seen
at some
him.
of
I've
the
seen
film
him.
out
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
This kid can work. He does some beautiful things. He knows how to wrestle. He's strong. He ain't the biggest guy. You know what I mean? He's not the biggest guy on the team. But it don't matter. He's bigger than Rudy.
As like you
know
said,
what I mean,
he's very innovative and does a lot of like amazing stuff.
And he's tough. He takes
Yeah.
a lot. He takes it from the other guy, and turns it around. That's what I love about him.
You know how I know he's tough?
Why? Because I told you.
No.
Yeah.
No,
Because that should be one
Because
indication.
he's gone through matches with me. That's how I know he's tough.
Well, then
That's how I know he's a tough guy. That's the one.
I haven't seen that one yet.
Are you managing him on that show?
I may not. I may leave him to do his thing, but.
Who are you managing on that show?
Well, I'll let you know when I feel like it. I'm not ready to let people know yet.
What was it, like some big secret?
Yeah, there's usually a big secret. I don't want to give this. You think I want to give the opponent the knowledge of who they're going to have to face? Because if I'm managing, they're not just facing the guy; they're facing me in some way, shape, or form. No,
of course.
So,
Second
and
man
I'm not
outside.
giving out the story. I don't have to yet. See, there ain't time for the managers to hand up the lineup card yet. So. That's why I don't tell.
I feel
what's
like
going on.
if I were gonna wrestle someone that you were managing, right, and I saw you out there before the bell rang, I would go out there and I just punch you right in the face.
Yeah.
That way I ain't gotta worry about nothing, right? That's still on. You're fine. What is?
You see no scars, right?
Yeah.
Still got most of my hair, right?
Yep.
No scars on my face, right?
Yeah. What does that make you?
I want to do this for posterity.
Does that make you a tough guy?
So
or
listen
something?
to me.
I got
Listen to me.
scars too.
Don't make me go heelier than thou. Okay, I don't want to be heelier than thou. That's good.
catchy.
You think
catchy?
Because no, the way you're talking, it sounds like you're like, oh yeah, I'll get punched by Jay George and then.
I didn't say if
think
you
you're
got
gonna-
punched. No.
Right.
That my point is, young man.
Yes.
It takes a lot to get through to punching me in the face. First of all, my wrestler's not going to let it happen.
Okay.
Second of all, the state athletic commission ain't going to let it happen. So you're going to get disqualified immediately.
No, this is before the bell rings.
Before the bell rings,
before the bell.
Yeah.
you might
Yeah.
you might get a smack or a little chokey choke, as I call it, before the match. You never know. You might get tripped on the way into the ring, and then somebody drop on you with a knee. You never know. You don't know what I can do.
I have a good
Me,
idea.
the big
of what
fat
you-
bastard, I can still do what I got to do. All right? These hands, ladies and gentlemen, this is scale. You can see my hands compared to my face, right? Like when Andre went like that to Lou, I could do that too almost, okay? So I got good hands. Don't make me use them on you. I like you.
Yeah.
I want to keep
No,
liking
listen.
you.
Hey, I do. I'm just talking hypothetically.
Hypothetically,
You know?
hypothetically.
I mean, but it's not hypothetical. though.
I like you. I like your
Yeah.
attitude, but
Right.
but you're wasting it
What
on
about
me.
his shirt?
You're wasting it on me. You understand? If you want to be part of this company, then you got to understand where I come from. You're a heel. I'm heelier than thou. I'm heelier than all the thous. Okay, that's the reason I've been around at my tender age.
No,
Right?
absolutely.
See too many guys my age doing it.
I remember back in the day, Albano and Blassie, they weren't kids.
How old do you think Albano was or Freddie Blassie was when they finished in pro wrestling? How old were they?
Blassie was about 54 or 5.
Yeah, and how old was Lou?
Probably the same.
Yeah.
Even. Yeah.
And how old am I? Don't say it.
Don't
say it.
thought you were like
But
40.
you know how old I
Yeah.
am.
Yeah.
Now, you knowing how old I am, because you stupid fucks out there, what did you think I was 12? You think I was 12? Yeah, my hair looks good. Yeah, I got a fat belly. That's why I'm working on that. Don't worry about that. I got a diet going. The guns will come back. I'll look like I used to look. All right? But you know how old I am.
Yeah.
How many fucking guys in this business my age? Nobody. Only guy came back.
That's not true.
Ric Flair came back.
Eric Adams, who was trained by Johnny Rods, told me he wrestled Chick Donovan, 74 years old, the other
Listen,
week.
There were guys. There were guys that worked till they were in their
Jimmy Valiant's
60s or
working in
whatever.
his 70s.
I
Tony
would-
Atlas, 73.
I would
That's right.
love.
And Tito also.
No, Tito's in his late 60s.
No,
Yeah.
I'm
Late
telling
60s.
you, he's in his 60s. I know.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, I don't want to give it up, but you know what? Fucking guy, fucking Taco. You look fucking great. I hope you see this.
I teamed up with
You know, he's my
Really?
he's my
Yeah.
nemesis. He's my nemesis. He really
Let
is.
me ask Jay George a question. How does it feel to team or wrestle against a legend that was like a childhood hero? What does that feel like?
I was especially Tito Santana being a huge influence in as for a Latino kid like me from New York, and seeing what he accomplished in New York, being able to team up with him, amazing. Also, that being said, you brought up Jimmy Valiant, who's in his 70s. You said
He's like 75. Still wrestling.
I know, and I want to wrestle him so bad.
Yeah.
I want to have a match with Jimmy Valiant so badly.
Chick Donovan, 74.
See, I look at it this way. It's a lose-lose for you. I'll tell you why. No, I'll tell you why. I agree. Because if you beat him,
Yeah. Who'd you
you're
beat?
beating a guy. Not who'd you beat.
Right.
Don't fucking say that, because I'll smack you.
Yeah.
Because you know who you beat. You beat a fucking great wrestler, but you beat a guy who's 73, who was not in your
75.
prime. Your prime, which is what you're in now.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes,
I want
sir.
the fans to hear that you're in your
Yeah.
prime.
Yes.
When he was in his prime, I do that, then my fucking hands would have gone, ow, a little bit.
Yeah.
Because he was.
Jimmy Valiant was in tremendous shape when he was young. Yeah.
So he would have tossed you from pillar to post in his prime.
No, I don't think so.
Well, no, you would have learned a good lesson, and maybe the
That's
next
sure.
match you might have come back a little better, and then as time goes on, But trust me, this guy was one of those guys, that.
I mean, that's
You
why
know,
I
you
would
gotta know
want
that's-
to.
But so that's one lose. You beat a guy who was in his 70s.
Right.
Now,
If I lose.
if you lose,
Right.
you lost to a guy in his 70s.
Yeah.
You can't win with a match like that. Best you can do is tag team with him.
Yeah. It would be just the experience of
yeah.
being in the room with such a legend,
In the mid
He's too
70s,
scared to get
in the
rid
mid
of him.
70s, the Valiant Brothers headlined the Garden four times in a year, and the building would shake just on the charisma. I
Yep.
mean, unbelievable.
The guys had serious charisma in the day.
Off the charts.
And see, today I'm seeing some young men have charisma like that.
Like myself.
Like where they could talk a little bit, just a little bit, but their presence shines like that. Like Bruno. Bruno wasn't the best talker,
Right.
in my opinion.
But he had unbelievable charisma.
But when he came in and you looked at him and his stage presence, we'll call it.
He had an aura.
His persona, right. Now, there's a young man. I know this is a terrible thing to make a comparison from Bruno to somebody in the Indies. But I want to just have you understand,
The comparison. Go ahead.
what I
Yes,
mean.
Seth. Yeah, go for it.
Super Nitro. Now, you know me. I'm a heel, right? I'm a heel. Super Nitro is the sweetest kid you ever met in your life. And his brother. Just shush him.
I'm sitting next to you. I thought you were going to say
Nitro.
I was.
I just assumed it was
different
Jay
guy.
George.
I know. I thought he was going to
He's
compare
good.
to
He's
Bruno.
good, but this kid Super. I don't know what he could do really, but I know what Super Nitro could do. And he teams. I got him teaming with his brother.
I thought they were feuding.
They are. I want to get that out of the way.
Yeah.
All right, but when I bring them to USA Pro, they're coming in as a tag team.
Okay.
Because really, if you ever saw them work together in matches where they were working, let's say in a tag, not a tag match, but in a rumble type of match, and they're working on some guy, and they're doing it together. They don't realize they gravitate to each other, and they do a double thing that one's going high, one's going low, decimating the guy. These fucking guys would be stupid if they, me, I tell I guess they'd be stupid if they didn't listen to me and just get cohesive. And I'll work out. So let them beat the shit out of each other, get it out of like brothers do. Let the two brothers beat the crap out of each other in front of hundreds of people. The people will get their thrill. They'll get their fucking shit out. And then I'll have two guys I can have work as a cohesive unit.
Terry and Dory wrestled in Japan. They wrestled each other.
Oh, yeah, that's some great
Owen Hart
matches.
and Bret Hart had a feud.
There's
brothers
plenty
fight,
of brothers. They
right?
got to get it out. Got to get it out, because if they don't, it busts later on. The Hardys. The Hardys had, they had their feud, right? You know what I mean? They and then they got back together, and I don't know if they're ever going to do anything,
Why don't we take a little break in the hope that Timothy Theory is showing up.
It's a
You
theory.
can check your phone. It's a theory that
Theory
Timothy
that'll
Theory
show up, but
is showing up.
We'll see if it's a fact.
And we'll see if he's out there, or you could call
How
him or
long?
whatnot.
How long you been managing, Mr. Big?
I've been managing
Since the late 30s.
Well,
Yeah.
been managing. Let's see. How old are you?
I'd rather not say.
Really?
I meant 1930s. Since
Let's
the late
put it this way.
1930s.
I'm fond of saying I was here before you were born,
I am a young guy.
and
I'm
I'll
a
be
young
here.
buck.
And I'll be here long after you're gone.
All right. Well, you would think all that experience.
I'm immortal.
You would have gotten your talent here on time, but I guess maybe.
Listen,
Yes.
one thing you gotta understand. It's not my.
You gotta be
I'm
ready
not,
to go
I'm
with
not a
the big
valet.
boys, Mr. Big.
I'm not a freaking valet.
I'm not these indie guys. I'm
Never.
not a. You got to be ready to swing with me, baby.
Once
Let's
you
go.
try to swing now with me. I ain't a valet. I ain't a fucking chauffeur. Okay,
Yeah,
what I
but
am,
you're supposed
what I
to be a
am
man,
is,
right?
what I am is the manager of champions, the champion of managers. I'm the rabbi of the ring. I'm the minister of Michigas. That's me. That's what I do. That's who I am. I'm OTG. Okay, I'm the original tough guy.
Okay,
that's me. I got a big mouth. I'm the big mouth.
Tell the audience what Mishigas means, because they're not going to know.
Is craziness.
Yeah.
When somebody says, "Oh, I'm Meshuggah," it means they're crazy. That's all it means. It means they're crazy or they're silly. You know.
And on that note, we're going to take a brief time out, Jim.
Yeah, we got to. We got to cool down, Mr. Big.
All right. We'll be right back, folks, with more wrestling.
The wrestling fan, you know, they loved you or they hated you. You know, if the fan loved you, they couldn't do enough for you. You know, they want to buy your meal, they want to buy your drink. I think it was one of the main reasons that, you know, whenever I stepped into the ring, I wanted to give back. I wanted to satisfy their reason for coming out and watching me wrestle.
I tell you what, I treated fans with respect and they loved me back. Whether I was a heel or a babyface, it didn't matter.
I learned right from the get-go with my parents that it was to appreciate every single fan that you got, everyone. You know, I think that's one of the reasons I've had longevity in wrestling, is that I always treated my fans with a lot of respect.
They wanted to kill me trying to get to my car, and they always knew I was in a Cadillac or something, and it was, you know, you were in fear for your life sometimes.
The New Jersey crowds were always great in the Boston Garden. It was dangerous at the Boston Garden.
The fans were believers in that era. They believed the doggone thing was real. And they were very, some of the fans were very violent.
I look back on it and I'm saying, well, you put up a lot of you know what. But you know something? That's what drove me to do it. Because the more those people hated me, more of this I made.
I was being punched and kicked, and I was having beer thrown on me. I was being hit by chairs.
How angry do you want to make your wrestling fans? How much do you want to butcher up your baby faces until they're all bleeding and they're being beaten by 8 or 10 guys? I mean, how far can you push an audience before they lose it, and then you have the Alamo kind of thing?
Play with people's heads, you know. You gotta play with their minds, you gotta play with them. Psychology. Because that's how you manipulate people. And that's what I do. That's what I did for a living. I manipulated you when you were a kid. I know I did. Because you probably didn't like me, or you might have liked me because I was that way. And a lot of people did. A lot of people didn't. Thank you for the living I made at it, people. You were very good to me.
Say, you're Bobby Rivers, right? Bobby barely registers and nods while he looks around for women. I love how you beat Willie Dean tonight. I hate that guy. You know, I can't. Bobby looks at the bar and sees Willie Dean talking to two girls. Hey, Chris, kayfabe. He looks at the fan. Sorry, man, we stay here. There's going to be a fight. You know what I mean? Let's go, Chris. Chris asks, why didn't we stay? There wasn't going to be any fight. Listen, brother. Bert Ironside's rule number 1. Baby faces and heels do not socialize. Why? It's all about protecting the business. You don't tell your 5-year-old that there's no Santa Claus, and faces and heels do not sit in a bar full of marks drinking together. Kings of the Ring. is the first audio drama podcast based on wrestling. Search Kings of the Ring from any podcast app or kingsotr.com.
You're drowning everything in me. The way she moves, the way she knows everything I need. This night.
With the Evan Ginsburg Show at villageconnectionradio.com. Quick birthday shout out to Chris Michaels, the most fit 58-year-old you'll ever see, Chris Michaels. But joining us right now after a 2.5 or so hour ride, Timothy Theory. How are you, Tim?
Oh, what's up, yo? I'm doing pretty good, just a little locked up from that car ride, all that traffic. But, it's great to be here, with the champion of the champions, the manager of champions. And Jay George, everybody, Evan Ginsburg.
There you go.
Austin,
there you go.
Finally be here,
And first time on the show. I heard last night you wrestled in front of like 800 people.
Oh yeah,
what was that like?
Awesome.
ECPW, right?
Yeah, it was awesome. It was a Lucha Libre show. I put out some of my high flying aerial assault. And they were into it, man. Even though I come out to the ring from Canada, Mr. Big knows all about it. I got the flag with the hockey stick, but I guess I kind of got these guys off, by surprise when I'm out there flipping over the ropes and, doing moonsaults, lion salts, and, all this other stuff. So it was wild, man. They were loud. They were into it from bell to bell, and it was awesome, man. I had a good time.
There you go.
Yeah.
And you had a big show last night. Then you're up first thing in the morning, driving. That's the wrestling life. How do you feel about it?
Oh, man. You know what, though? It's rough, but that's the life of a wrestler. You gotta get up there and make them towns, and if you don't, get to that schedule, then you're gonna miss your, your show. I literally got here, like this is probably 15 minutes left of the show, and if I didn't get here in time, man, I would have missed.
You got here. That's
right. You got here.
That's that's what we always talk about, like a concerted effort to get yourself and your brand out there.
That's right.
That's Timothy Theory for you. He's a man getting his brand out there.
That's right. What do you consider some career highlights?
You know what? Wrestling for the NWA was pretty cool. Got to wrestle a bunch of Hall of Famers, which was awesome. You know, getting to wrestle the Gangsters, which is really cool for the first time tagging in 20 years after separating. You know,
what did that feel like? What is, yeah,
it hurt.
New Jack, Mustafa. Yeah,
it was. You know, yeah, I got a couple shots in, but you know, New Jack, you know, he's a little wild, so
he got to be in the locker room with me.
Yeah, right. That was a good time. You know,
that's probably the top 10 for you, right?
Yeah, that's right. Number one on the list. So, you know, we had some cool times out there. You know what though, getting to share a lot of the locker room with a lot of these legends, Hall of Famers that I got to learn from. It's just like, Jay George,
he said
man.
too kind.
Yeah. So wrestling, Demolition though, Powers of Pain, and great to hear Valentine, Honky
Powers of Pain. That wasn't easy.
Nah, that was it was a little rough, but you know.
Tell you something, I got a boot for my trouble.
So as a young guy, not only are you in the ring, you're in the dressing room with these legends. Do you pick their brain? Do you try to learn from them?
Yeah, you know what, man. Sometimes I don't shut up when it comes down to just to ask them questions and trying to find out what I can from them, learn what I can, and it's interesting hearing their perspective and learning their side of it, and they've been there, they've got to be the top of the business, and make all those towns and do all these trips that I'm trying to do now. It's just getting myself prepared for who knows what.
Tim, what would you say is the best advice you ever given?
Man, honestly, try to just pretty much try to conserve myself for just the longevity of just my career, because if I'm out there just destroying myself,
that's what we were saying earlier.
It comes full circle, right?
It's just I know I can do a lot of crazy stuff out there, but if I it's just kind of showing all your tricks at once. I want to try to just conserve myself, make sure I have my myself prepared for another day, another fight, and
that's why some of these guys are still wrestling at 60 or whatever. Yeah. Bill Eadie, he's been out there since the 70s.
His body when I first saw him,
maybe 1960s, late 60s.
When I first saw him come out as the Masked Superstar,
he was great.
I went back to being a kid again. I wasn't a kid at those days. See, so if you were growing up, at this time, I was growing up so many years before there was black and white TV. My guys, right? But when I saw him, I went back to being the 5-year-old that got enthralled with those bear-shaped wrestlers. I looked at him, I said, here's a man. Here's a man I could grow up to be. Wow. And here's a guy who could take somebody and fold them and twist them and turn them and put them into a little ball, calling out for their mother. That's what just place them on the ground gently, and they would call out for their mother. And I looked at him and said, I'm going to grow up to be that kind of guy. There you go.
Bill Eadie was one of the Mongols, Masked Superstar, Demolition, etc., so on. And the guy could still wrestle because he didn't destroy his body. Exactly.
He wasn't a bad talker either. When he opened up his mouth and would talk about certain things, they didn't let him do much, but when he did, it impressed the hell out of me.
Staten Island, actually, I wrestled them with Andrew Anderson, and I actually felt the pain of Demolition. They kind of would pull me apart by the mouth. Really crazy stuff.
That was a match that I couldn't make it to, if you know what I'm saying. I normally manage them guys, Andrew Anderson and Timothy Theory.
Multiple
so that's probably now actually makes a lot more sense why I've never actually wrestled him, because you have the wherewithal to know that if he steps in the ring with a guy like me, there's no conservation there. I will hurt him, right? That's why.
Bill Eadie
or no, I'm talking about myself. I'm saying that's why
he's calling you out, kid.
I'm just saying that's why we haven't wrestled, because he's keeping you away from.
That would be a good match. Honestly, that would be Mr. Big. If you can make it happen, NEW, you got something going on.
Do some finagling.
The stars have never aligned.
I have to watch your footage. Your footage, I don't have to watch. I know what I'm looking at.
So Timothy, who are some of the guys that have influenced you?
Rob Van Dam.
You look a little like Rob Van Dam, doesn't he?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. He emulated the haircut and all.
Yeah. He's a big influence. Even Bret the Hitman Hart, obviously. Jeff Hardy, even. Just guys that I've watched growing up, and Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, Sting. Honestly, I'm a big Sting fan too as well. But
And do you study like old school tapes, 70s, 80s?
Yeah, actually, Gorgeous George. That was something that
just fucking
you know what? There's a thing that my nana's dad would just sit there and watch wrestling. Back when they were like with the old school TV, like Mr. Big was saying, and it's just like. He'd be sitting there watching it, getting into it, and then over time, my nana would tell me stories, about, all these wrestlers, Bobo Brazil, and just a bunch of just old school tapes like that.
And Bobo wrestled into his 60s also. He preserved his body. When I was seeing Bobo back in the 70s, he was no kid.
Of course,
yeah.
The Sheik, and the original Sheik.
Yeah, the original Sheik. He was
the Iron Sheik, a lot of these old school guys, even the Iron Sheik, Macho Man, Randy Savage, a lot of those guys were also big influences because they just had such a interesting character to them, and they would go out there and get real into it. When they get in the ring, they'd just be like they just don't know no caution to the wind, whatever, and just the crowd whenever they got into it, they just kind of.
This guy loves to go off the top rope.
Yeah,
he really does.
I'm gonna throw this out to the wrestlers here. If you got a phone call from AEW, WWE, New Japan, same day, what would be your preference? Where would you go?
Man, I say honestly, right now, anything's on the table. But AEW sounds pretty cool. They got a lot of cool talent in there, and seems like an interesting promotion, interesting organization, So I'm trying to see what's up. I see a couple people from ECPW making it in places like that. Like you seen Sonny Kiss out there recently, right?
Sure.
Dustin Thomas is out there as well. So two people from ECPW. That's really cool to see them make it.
And I thought it was like so. I remember when I first saw Dustin, and it was John
Teller, right?
John Teller, and a lot of people were being very critical about it. But then a few months later, he becomes one of the most talked about guys. Does AEW.
So why were they critical?
I have no idea. And it's funny because like there was no. I thought it was a great like old school style angle. Like they pulled him out of the crowd, and this guy is a paraplegic, but then he does all this amazing stuff. And I don't know why they were so critical. But I think a lot of people could be hypocritical.
Well,
like,
you know what it is because nobody's really. At least I'm not buying that angle. They just pull a guy out that happens to be a paraplegic, but happens to be. I'm not buying.
Well, when you see him flying too, he's a high flyer as well.
Yeah, but I'm not buying that he came out of the crowd.
Wow.
That's what I'm saying. Maybe let him be somebody's cousin. Let him be somebody's cousin who always wanted to do it.
Right.
But Hillbilly Jim coming out of the crowd when you think, well, he could have been maybe been one of them yokels, that bought a ticket.
So Jay George, if you had one promotion to work for, because you've been to China and all over the world, what promotion would it be?
I listen. I don't want to cancel out any offers or opportunities. That's what but it's true though. Yeah. You can't, and I learned this the hard way in my time doing this. Like, you cannot burn any bridges or cancel anything now because you just never know.
Yeah, you can get a call tomorrow from somebody.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't want to ostracize anybody.
So you don't want to pick one.
That's fair.
So one of them, if one of them calls you more than the other, you don't care which one. Anyone is fine.
Hey, whoever's paying me, whoever has the best offer, let's go. What are you shaking your head at? Who would you pick?
I would pick WWE. Why? Because you're immediately getting. I don't care if there's anything I want to do after that, I could do.
The exposure, unless they bury you a main event.
Listen, why do I have to go to AEW or Ring of Honor or New Japan when I could go right to WWE, get what I want out of them, and then they'll let me go any place
maybe you'll have better matches at AEW.
Yeah,
I wouldn't leave on a bad term.
There you go.
That's the thing. You don't leave the place on a bad term. Do your WWE. Then if I want to do AEW and every other letter in the alphabet, do anything I want because now I'm ex-WWE superstar.
There you go. So Timothy, what do you have coming up?
You know what? This Friday we got the ECPW television taping. That's going to be in Richfield Park, New Jersey. As far as
it's always a good show, by the way.
Yeah, you know what?
So what is this?
Yeah, that's well, I want to see Mr. Big back out there. He hasn't been out there in a while.
You know what? I haven't been traveling to Jersey so much because my girl's got to see me sometime.
That's
true. I work all the time. I got to see her. I got to have some time to see my lady.
You know what? That's actually another
That's
thing.
the Iron Shiksa. You don't mess with the Iron Shiksa.
I have a good question for all you guys. What is the line between paying your dues and exploitation? Because I hear a lot of guys going, I'm not working for free. And I kind of agree with that. What is the line where, you guys are risking life and limb in the ring where it's exploitative?
I think there's... when you talk about... there's a difference, I think, between... in certain cases of working for free versus investing in yourself. If it's worth the investment of like, well, if I work here, it could potentially give me connections to bigger opportunities. And so you can't always, especially in this business, right? Because we were just talking about how little guys were getting paid headlining Madison Square Garden. So who are we to expect, certain expectations from places when we haven't even had half the name of a guy like a Tito Santana or something like that. You know what I mean? So it's a matter of what you're willing to invest in yourself and where you see.
And what if the same promoter the 17th time doesn't pay you? Is that exploitative?
That's exploitative.
I got an answer for that. I have a serious answer for that. And I'm not trying to hog the spotlight here, but there's something that's close to home with me. If a guy can't draw, why is he in the show? And I'm not being mean. If a guy can't draw, if he can't turn around and you say his name out loud that he's going to be in your show, if at least 10 people don't raise their hand and go, I'd go to a show if he was in it, then what do I need the guy as a promoter or as a booker? Now, that's not to say I have guys in the show that can't draw one, but
the promoter still chose to use him, and he's still risking injury in the ring.
Yes, so there's a way of compensating the guy.
Taking time away from the family and all that stuff, and
gas,
travel. You wanted to listen to me. There was times you wanted to be a baseball player. You had to be an amateur for a long time before somebody would even.
But amateurs still got paid.
No, that amateur. Then you're professional. See, the word amateur.
Baseball players at AAA, AA, they get paid. It's minuscule, but they get paid.
They're not amateurs. I'm talking about when baseball started, and then people wanted to get into the game. You were doing amateur baseball first, and then you got into professional baseball. Little league, you don't get paid. That's amateur baseball.
Okay.
Pony league, you don't get paid. Guys go into the baseball leagues from them and from school. You don't get paid in college. All right, we're getting off the subject. 50 shows, a guy should get some money. If he's worked 50 shows already, he should get some money. He really should.
What if he worked 37 shows and he's great?
Then he's going to earn.
But if he's great, though,
then he's going to get money, and he won't have to. He won't have to ask. He's going to get offered.
Yeah.
He won't have to be a jerk and ask. They're going to offer him.
What about this scenario? The guy goes to the show. He's expecting to get paid. The promoter pulls the old. The crowd's lousy tonight. I got nothing for you.
No good. If you promise a guy, he gets paid, and that's it. Yep. I ran 2 shows by myself, without a fucking bit of help. Okay, every goddamn guy in the show got paid.
That's good.
From top to bottom.
That's
the building got overpaid, and that's the way. And everybody was happy with it. And the show was great, and the fans went ape shit. And I did okay. I did 400 plus the second show. I did 350 plus the first show in terms of audience.
Well, what do you think, Timothy?
You know what, though? I kind of get what he's saying, because, if you have just some, no experienced wrestler out there that, just wants to get paid, he's kind of taking off, the plate of
a guy like him who deserves to get paid.
Yeah, and, it's like you can have somebody get hurt at the same time, no experience, just drop somebody on their neck, and then you're out a talented wrestler for somebody that's, that has no experience. So, there should be people that should have to pass a certain level to be able to go out there and be in the ring in front of people. But
it's training.
Timothy, where would you like to see yourself in 5 years?
Honestly, WWE. I would like to be out there because, why not try to, fulfill that dream of just. I watched it growing up with my brothers and all that, and I think that, it'd be cool to get out there and see what I could do. I feel like I could, I feel like I'm talented enough to be seen on that platform. There's a lot of people in this area. I feel like get seen like that.
Son of a bitch, he is. I'm not kidding. You can't pair a guy with Andrew Anderson.
Matter of fact, you were there.
Unless he's tough.
Weren't you managing us when it was me and Andrew Anderson versus Tokyo Monster and Great Hair Valentine? I had my head busted open. I had stitches from a prior accident.
I had to stay away from that, and you know why?
You were in Long Island,
because Kahagas is in my. He's one of my guys, and you know what I mean? And Greg has been my friend for 100 years.
Yeah.
So I stayed out of that on purpose.
Yeah,
it was booked. I don't have nothing to do with the booking. So I can't prevent the booking, and I can't, and I
It was
wouldn't have been able to
pretty
protect
crazy,
them, and I wasn't going to protect guys
I
against
got put in
you.
the figure 4. You know, it was just like Greg the Hammer Valentine put me in the figure 4 leg lock. It was ridiculous.
That's
I had a
life.
busted open forehead. You know,
That's
like,
life.
but I still went out there and did it. You know, but that's sometimes in wrestling, it's just.
Now imagine if you're in the ring with a guy who's just coming in, or maybe he's worked 15 matches, 3 of them in the backyard, 4 of them in the bathtub, 2 of them in his living room, and the rest
in his mind.
Maybe in some kind of show, maybe some kind of little show. He did a little thing and then been a battle royal or something. Now he's up against. Now we put him in tag team. I make a tag team because I got to put him somewhere in the show, right? He wants to get paid. I put him against him and Andrew. And they throw the guy around like he's a fucking ragdoll because they don't have a clue how to protect himself. He's learning.
Well, I'll tell you the other side of it. The old school legends, and Greg Valentine has slept on my couch. The old school legends will tell me they're nervous getting in the ring with green guys.
Oh yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
that's my point.
You know, they're not kids.
That's
you know?
right. So
yeah.
they're not paying me for. See, they were supposed to have gone to school to learn this, and gone to school for years, not year, but years, and keep going. You know, if you were in the doghouse, you didn't just stop being in the doghouse. You went to work out every weekend that you weren't working a show. Okay, my point being, real quick, that a guy wants to get paid. Let him sell tickets one way or another. Oh, your name is Roddy Piper? All I gotta do is put your name on the fucking poster. That's it. Your name, not even your picture. Roddy Piper appearing tonight. Boom. I'm selling tickets for that show. Okay? Hulk Hogan.
What do you think
whatever.
of the ticket selling thing, Tim?
You know, sometimes they throw some ticket sellers in there, and it's all fine and dandy. But when they put them in the ring with guys like me and Andrew Anderson, it's
Yeah, but sometimes they're,
turns into a
listen to me,
massacre
sometimes they're
brawling,
pretty
or-
good. Listen, you take guys like, I don't know, Ace Andrews and Cuzzo. Okay, he fought Andrew and Tokyo
Monster. That was a mauling. Like,
it's a
you know what I'm
monster
saying? That
match.
was just-
But these 2 young men held their own because they're not at the level of first coming in. They're at that middle level of education. That was before where he's at, where he's strictly a pro. Okay, and if anybody asks him to sell a ticket, it's to do the favor for the show. Come on, just hand some out to a few people you know. Just bring some extra money. But the reason that these other guys are required to sell tickets is not to make them a slave or a fucking ticket seller. It's not a put down in any way, shape, or form. I don't bring slot guys in. The guys I bring in to do that.
Well, let Timothy talk. He joked 2.5 hours.
Put it like this. Think about it like
earn
this.
money out of that money.
Yeah, we
Mr.
got-
Big even think about it like this. They got Tim Theory with Mr. Big versus the Patriot in a flag match. So people are gonna know, oh wow, this is gonna be a crazy match. They're gonna come out, they're gonna see
That's right.
a crazy brawl. I've, go up against Tom Brady as the Patriot, many times, and just this actually August 10th coming up.
That last match, that last freaking thing we did was pretty
See,
bad.
he got hurt a little bit. Something happened. It was strictly,
Yeah, I can't have
it was
kids now.
tough. You know what? Yeah, I kind of want to just not see that footage of that painful incident. But you know what? It was just things happen in the ring and accidents happen. But August 10th, right? We're doing the flag match against Gene Snitsky. So
Yeah,
let's
that's
see.
the American Slasher, yeah.
Yeah, you know what? It's gonna be interesting to see how that goes down. He's a big guy, but I got Mr. Big, and we got a couple of tricks up our sleeves. So
Yeah, I didn't bring little Gina Snitsky with me today, but I'm going to bring Miss Snipsky with us on August 10th. It'll be fun.
So we got to wrap things up real quick. Plug anything you want to plug, social media, upcoming matches.
Timothy Theory on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, all that stuff. More Street Movement. We got music and we got all types of stuff on YouTube, Instagram, same stuff, Twitter. We got just those matches. Richfield Park TV, August 10th. That match with Gene Snitsky was that Brooklyn, right? Broad Channel, New York.
Broad Channel Athletic Club in
So
Broad Channel and Cross Bay. That'll be nice. A good outdoor show. August 10th, right? Yeah.
It's gonna be a good time.
Beautiful place. I tell you something. Jimmy Smallman and them guys there. They're top notch. They really are.
They love wrestling.
Anybody else? Quick plugs?
Tell them about September 28th.
Oh yeah, September 28th. Yeah, thank you for reminding me.
I should be
Real quick
managing you.
plug: New Evolution Wrestling, September 28th at the Elks Lodge on Queens Boulevard in Elmhurst. It's going to be a really, really good show. I'll be announcing matches soon. Tickets will go on sale in about a week or two, and we expect a good crowd, like always. There, we're also going to be setting up a show for November, and I might even have something to fill in October. Something special.
You don't
something really, really, well, I won't tell you about it.
Oh, come on.
No.
you're
That's, I'm going to
tickling
say,
me.
that's a little tease. But please, come out
don't
September
tease me.
7th at the Deer Park. Definitely come out September 28th to Queens Boulevard. And I know you'll be there.
I'll be there with Team Splendid.
That's right, you
And
will.
Alpha Championship Wrestling is debuting in Queens as well, so look for that. Yeah, that's a new promotion.
I told you, golden age of wrestling, brother.
That's right.
Everybody, every little fucking guy is coming out of the woodwork. Every little putz is coming out saying, I'm a promoter. And some of them will wind up proving themselves to be promoters. And some of them will wind up proving that they're the shit asses that we always thought they were.
And 95% will lose their
hats.
their life savings, their house, their girlfriend, and their wife.
And los cojones.
Yeah.
They lose them all.
Any other quick plugs? We got to wrap it up.
Yeah, what are you doing next?
We already went through the whole through the whole gamut.
But this guy's got music.
Yeah,
he
you know
does.
what? Definitely.
He's like he
Next time you should come and perform. We have musicians on here. It's not.
We could definitely.
It's an arts
definitely do that,
program.
you know,
What's the
we
next
have,
thing you're doing musically?
We're trying to set something up. I think there was something going on in the Sherman Theater, like P&B Rock. They're doing a show at like the theater. In
And what's
town,
the
so
name of
like-
your band?
More Street Movement. It's like
More Street Movement.
Yup. I was gonna bring a shirt and hat in, but kind of got.
Well, you
stuff
got
in
you
the
wearing
rush,
he's wearing patent leather shoes though.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
There you go.
He's dressed sharp for the show. He
occasion,
he came in dressed for business.
Yeah.
That's right.
And yours truly writes for ProWrestlingStories.com, ProWrestlingPost.com, the Gorilla Position. Shout out to Jim Phillips. And Jim, I hear Mike Monty's been messaging me. Anything I need to respond to here?
Mike Monty's messaging
on the live feed.
Huh. I did not know.
He must have something going on Monty and the Pharaoh show.
Monty minus the Pharaoh, Thursdays 8:05. Anyway.
What happened to that?
Jim could tell you better than me. So
Can imagine Monty.
I have no knowledge.
Without the Pharaoh.
Well, it's yeah, it happens.
It's like the fat man without the Jew, or the Jew without the fat man.
Shout out to Dave King.
And listen, I promised I would say hello to a guy, Chris Craven, our friend Chris Craven.
I've invited him on the show for 10 years also.
Well,
Chris
listen,
Craven.
he would come on.
Come on down,
he
Chris.
He would come on. You know what? He probably didn't. He thought you were kidding, probably. Chris, he's not kidding. He will have you on the show.
Anyway.
And he'll actually talk to you and let you talk too. He's got,
Unlike what you do with the
so,
house.
yeah, like your
Yeah.
fans are bitching about it, right? But Chris is he's a nice young man. He's helped me out a lot. And he's helped out New Evolution.
I like Chris.
He's helped out New Evolution. He's helped out USA Pro Wrestling. He worked with Kevin Sullivan. Sullivan gave him a few pointers, and I gave him a few pointers. We polished him a little bit. His gimmick is pretty good now, and it's only going to get better. He's a special character in wrestling. I really like him
He's
a lot.
colorful.
And there's only I got only love and respect for the kid. I do.
The
I
kid.
call him
The kid.
Call him the kid. You know
Yeah.
why you call him the kid?
Because he's younger than you.
He's that much younger than me.
Yeah.
All right, but hey, Chris.
There you go. So is there anything I need to respond to with Mike, or are we good?
I think he's just asking, is that Enzo?
Enzo?
Where?
Oh, he's
What are you
making
talking-
funny. He's trying to say, are you Enzo?
Sure, I'll take it. Whatever.
And who am I?
Who's this?
Cass?
He's a wrestling radio
got
host.
Jose No Way?
Mike Monty.
Yeah, no. Unacceptable,
Mike.
Monty. Show yourself.
That wasn't even funny, Mike.
No, come on, yeah. You gotta
Come on,
bring it.
Mike.
You got
Gotta-
Mr. Big here.
Got to be funny on that.
I bumped into Enzo at a boxing show at the Barclays. The guy was totally friendly. He was all right.
Why wouldn't he be?
I don't know. I'm just,
I heard he's rapping.
He gets
Yeah.
a lot of heat with people. I don't
fellow, that's a fellow paisan, right?
I heard he's rapping too, right, Enzo?
Yeah.
I think so.
Right? I want to see him versus Joey Janelle in a rap battle.
There you go.
Because why not? Let's see what they got. This is sweet booking. Why not?
That's the beauty. That's the beauty of this country is that you could be a wrestler, you can be a rapper, you do what you want.
That's right.
That's right. You could be a wrestler. You could be a wrestling manager. You could be an actor in
You-
some friend's movie that he might be coming out next time.
Fun fact.
You never know. You never know.
Fun fact. That's what he told Abe Lincoln when he was coming up on the.
That's
wrestling
right.
team.
Abe Lincoln
He told
was a
him,
wrestler.
You could
Hey,
be
yeah,
a
but he
wrestler.
couldn't handle the
You
camera.
could be a president.
Abe Lincoln was his
He had
mentor.
he had shaky hands on the camera, though. That's the bad part.
There you go.
Couldn't hold that camera steady.
Anyway, that'll about do it, guys. Mr. Big, J. George, Timothy Theory, Dave Dahl, Dylan Mesh, and our Tom Frazier, who didn't make it somehow.
And this show was not brought to you by Martin's Paints. It ain't just paint.
SWF is our sponsor, by the way.
There you go.
SWF.
So, good plug.
So how about do it, guys? Thank you so much. Thank
thank
you for
you.
that long drive, man. Appreciate
No problem.
it.
I'll come back another time, hopefully a little earlier.
A little earlier, so we'll
All
talk
right.
a little bit. Maybe send a clip in for a break
sure.
time, you know?
All right. Thanks, guys. Thank you.
They're all dead. The lines cut off inside my head. I left here like a broken man with no idea of where I stand. Oh, my mind clear. Oh, I shed all of my tears. Oh, now baby, I was just waiting here while you moved on. Security, this newfound freedom you kept from me. The sound of all your loaded guns. This heartbreak war has just begun. The sound of all your loaded guns. This broken man has already won. Oh, my mind clear. Oh, I shed all